Caution: to avoid overheating your storage system, you have 10 minutes to reinsert the controller node once it has been removed from its bay. Attach your ESD wrist strap to an unpainted surface of the enclosure or rack. Confirm that the UID locate LED is solid blue on the node to be removed. This indicates that it is safe to remove. Confirm that all the cables attached to the node are labeled, noting their locations. For best practices, especially in a complex installation, label with both destinations: enclosure, bay, slot, and port, as well as host or switch and port. Remove the Ethernet cable from the admin port by pressing the release tab and disconnecting the cable. If installed, remove any data cables by pulling on the release tab, noting their location for later replacement. Remove each SFP with the fiber cables attached by gently pulling out the long release tab underneath the SFP. Caution: use care not to damage the SFPs. Note: it is not necessary to remove any SFPs that do not have cables attached. Fully loosen both captive thumb screws that secure the controller node handles to its enclosure bay. If too tight, use a Torx T15 screwdriver to loosen. Open both controller node handles simultaneously to disengage the node from the closure backplane and partially slide the node out of its bay. Caution: the node is long and heavy. Be prepared. While making sure that all cables are out of the way, support the node from underneath and carefully slide it out of its bay in the enclosure. Place the removed node on the flat anti-static surface nearby. Remove the top cover by pressing the black release tabs on both sides near the rear and then lifting the top cover out from under the notches at the front. Note: on the inside cover of the node, you will find a map that displays the locations and replacement procedures for the boot drives, DIMMs, and fans. There are 2 node boot drives in every controller node. The boot drive to be replaced may be in the 1 or 2 position. Press the release lever down in the boot drive retainer to release the M.2 NVMe boot drive. Grasp the boot drive by the edges only and pull it out of its M.2 slot and place it into a static dissipative bag. Note: if the replacement node boot drive is longer or shorter than the failed node boot drive, move the boot drive retainer by pulling the release lever up, turning the retainer counterclockwise to release it from the node board, lifting the retainer out, aligning and lowering the retainer into the second position, turning the retainer to lock it into the second position. Note: in this example, the replacement is the same length as the failed boot drive, so the retainer should remain in the original position. Carefully remove the replacement node boot drive from its static dissipative bag. Align the notch in the board with the key in the M.2 slot. Gently but firmly insert the boot drive into the M.2 slot and lower it so that it locks into the boot drive retainer. Note: you may need to press down on the release latch to seat the boot drive. Replace the top cover by inserting it at an angle into the notches at the front. aligning and pressing the rear of the top cover down until it latches into place. Caution: clear the area in front of the empty bay of any cables that might get snagged or damaged during reinstallation of the controller node. With its release levers in their open position, carefully align and slide the node into its bay until its release levers begin to engage. Close the release levers to fully seat the node into the enclosure backplane. Fully tighten both thumb screws to secure the node to the enclosure. Replace all the cables that were removed earlier, making sure that each cable is in the same location and fully connected. Caution: use care not to bend and cause damage to your optical cables. As soon as the node is reinserted, it restarts automatically and node rescue is run. Note: for the first 40 seconds, the controller node may not show any indications of power. Do not reseat the node until after seeing no activity for more than 40 seconds.